Welcome to Racing to Win. We're previewing Sha Tin on Saturday afternoon and evening this week, and a 10-race program upcoming. It's covered for you all right here, and joined in the studio today by Paul Lally and Nick Child. And Nick, it's a Saturday and it's a 4 o'clock start.
It certainly is, absolutely it is, and there's quite a bit to look forward to actually. More on sort of jackpots and favourites and that sort of thing with Paul very shortly. But there are some good horses lining up at this meeting. I think it's a meeting where we might just see one or two, you know, future potential top liners appear on this card.
I've got Dream Winner early in the card. He was super on debut down the straight. He goes up in grade. But Paul Lally is here. Nick has touched on it. There is plenty of cold, hard cash.
There is. One of the biggest jackpots of the year, actually. 39.2 million going to the Triple Trio. So we're expecting to get over 63 million. So that's a really good jackpot. And there's also one in the first Double Trio, just 500,000 going into that. That should get over 3 million. So you can get your bank early and then just launch later.
That sounds absolutely perfect. Now, before we go on, Nick, we're on Zach Purton watch at the moment because he is chasing the record of Joe Moreira. It's a very easy equation, as we're about to see on the screen, of what he needs to do until the rest of the season is ended.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I mean, he was in good form, wasn't he, at Happy Valley during the week. There's the runner getting up, and certainly the stars were aligned for him, that's for sure. Jimmy Ting, I'm sure... Of course, it'd be thumbs up for Jimmy Ting there. He's got his team going well, and there was another winner partnered by Zach. But yeah, look, he's not a million miles away from this this record, and it does look rather attainable, I think, Paul, on what he's doing so far. If he keeps up this momentum, put it this way, he's going to get there.
Yeah, definitely. He just needs to a meeting, really. So that's the big key. Look, suspensions, you know, barring suspensions or something, it looks very attainable at this stage. So at you know, you can see in the last 10 meetings he's travelling at 2.2 and he only needs 2. So if he just keeps up the momentum, he should be fine.
Without going too far into depth in it, can you see winners at this meeting on Saturday? Yeah,
of course. I mean, I really like I'm Presuming, which he's on, and there's other ones there as well.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, look, he's got some nice rides, hasn't he? And as is usually the case, he turns up with some, you know, choice selections, and I'm sure he'll be able to boot a few home.
And he does ride the tail swishing Beauty Destiny down the straight over 1,000 metres early in the card. There is a scratching. Race 1, number 4, Fiery Diamond, is not going around. That's the only one for the meeting. It is the following meeting details. Both courses in use this weekend with the turf and all-weather racing as we zoom in over the top of Sha Tin. Meeting number 78, 8 on the C course for the turf and a couple on the all-weather. 4 o'clock start. We go through until 8:45 a local time with the Class 2 over the 1,800 metres, and that will be one of the 2 races that we feature on the show, along with this race, race number 9, Class 3 over the 1,200 metres. Beauty Crescent, a newcomer, raced under the same name in Europe. Brilliant Ways having his first start since February, and the pacifiers come off. Invincible Sage, unlucky at his debut down the straight. Better Draw for Capital Delight. Excellent Fighter wears blinkers for the first time. Lucky Encounter, an extra £7 for that win at his first look in this grade. Pulsar Strider on the class drop last time was victorious, and Nishikado a gear change. The pacifiers are off and the blinkers go on. Now, the speed map here, Nick, as you touched on in the earlier part of the show, there's some really promising horses running at this meeting, and a number of them appear in this race.
They do. One such is Lucky Encounter, who went forward last time. I'm not sure he really wanted to be honest, but he did a good job from the front, and he was able to find plenty off the front end. So look, he's definite pace, but he is drawn 10. As for the others, well, Pulsar Strider, who is going up in grade, he showed plenty of dash last time to beat Dublin Star. This would demand a bit more, but he has got that early boot. Excellent Fighter. Now he's caught wide, and he's another one who can roll forward, but he has got to overcome that wide draw. Beauty Crescent, Paul, an interesting runner. He's drawn 7. First start here in Hong Kong.
Yeah, he's shown a bit of speed in his trials as well, has Beauty Crescent. Now, the key for this race is Lucky Encounter's drawn 10 and Excellent Fighter's drawn 11. It's who can get to that position first between those 2 horses, because they've both got speed, but I'm sure both jockeys will be aiming for that outside Pulsar Strider.
We're going to focus a little more on Lucky Encounter now. Nick was out at track work this morning and spoke to the rider of Lucky Encounter, Karis Teagan.
Karis, Lucky Encounter is one of a number of rides here that certainly looks to have winning claims on the weekend. He's a horse who's won his last couple of starts, continues on an upward trajectory.
Yes, Nick, he's an improving horse. He's doing everything right. Of course, last time he had to do it the hard way, but he fought on nicely to have a nice win.
visually, as an onlooker, that was an impressive win, given, as you say, he did have to do it the hard way from the front, and he's managed to stave them all off. How impressed were you?
Yeah, I was very impressed because just before the start, the one horse came out and he looked like he was going to be the leader. Then, knowing that there was not going to be much, I had to just let him do his own thing, and I was a bit worried turning into the home straight because he did not travel into it. So, but when the second horse came next to him, he really fights him off nicely.
Second horse has run second since, hasn't he? So the form's holding up. How difficult does 10 make it for you from where you're drawn?
Yeah, that's the only question mark with the 10. But he's got some nice speed at the gate. So if he can show his speed and he gets himself into a fighting position, then I think he should run well again.
I know David Hayes has got quite an opinion of this horse. I imagine you're very much of the same thinking, are you?
Yeah, because the horse he's shown us a lot and he's improving all the time. So he's showing some good sign from day one. So even after every race, he's improving. So that's a good sign.
Tough fighting win for him last time, as we saw there in that replay, Nick. And you touched on in the interview, Reward Smile has run second on Wednesday night since that race.
Yeah, look, form's holding up okay. Look, he's a very nice horse. I mean, he really did kick well, didn't he, off the front last time, and he does look very progressive, so one to stay on the right side of.
Yeah, 3 starts, 2 wins and a placing. So, look, he's going really well at the moment. He stepped up from 1,000 to 1,200 with no worries whatsoever. Again, as Kara said, it's just 10. If he's just got to try and get outside that leader, I think.
All right, that is our first focus for race number 9, Lucky Encounter. Our next one, Paul, is some trial form around the newcomer Beauty Crescent. He's had the 3 trials since he's been here. Yeah,
look, he's got pace as well. You can see he leads this trial. I don't think he'll lead the race, but he could make it hard for some of those horses drawn wide. He's had the 3 trials to get him ready. He's 1,050 pounds, so not the biggest horse around, and he does have to carry 135.
Yeah, both wins on good ground for GA Lions. Won the Blenheim Stakes, a listed race over 1,200, so he's got a touch of class, this fellow, son of acclamation. We know that they go quite well here. And look, at this trial he was just pushed out to the line, but he starts over the right trip and he's certainly of interest.
That is Victor the winner that beat him in that trial too. Now we're going to focus here, Nick, on Invincible Sage. There's a bit to look at. That is him in barrier number 10. So this is the start, and then he's held up badly in the latter part of the straight too. Yeah, colleague Tom Wood won't like to watch this back, I'm sure. But look, he fancied him this day, and he was in the process of running a really good race when the door got shut in his face at the 250. And look, you have to be impressed with the way he sprinted up thereafter, Paul. But it was literally game over round about this point, and Hugh Berman had to take evasive action.
He did, didn't he? So stepping up now to 1,200 looks ideal for him. And once he got into the clear, though, he finished off really strongly and just missed out on third. So, look, it was a really good run from him. A number of horses in that race too. They run earlier in the day down the straight again. He's been back to the trials too, Paul, and what did you make of this on the all-weather? Yeah, nice trial, just a nice quiet trial for him. He sort of went forward and look, he was just held together all the way down the straight. It's I'm presuming on his outside he races earlier in the card. So look, it was a nice trial from him. Look, the horse is obviously going the right way, stepping up to 1,200. He's drawn 12. That's just a little query for him. He might just get a bit further back than he would like. Yeah, he might have to take that medicine, as they say, and ride him for a bit of luck. And just also, as an added note, all 3 of his wins in Australia were on soft ground. So it'll be interesting when he gets his toe in, perhaps. He will indeed, and it's certainly the season for some rain around, that is for sure. We've got some, speaking of rain-affected form, Nick, excellent fighter running second. Now, the blinkers have been put on by Ricky Yu, and he trialled in them at Happy Valley. He did, yeah. Ran 5th in that trial. I thought it was quite a nice trial, actually. And form of this race has worked out quite nicely because Bundle of Charm ran 5th. He's won since, and the runner, you'll recognise his colours a little bit further back. He's won since as well. He ran 9th, so form's okay. Another one drawn wide. It seems to be the sort of the theme of this race, Paul, that the fancied runners are all drawn wide. Yeah, they are, and you can see him like just fail to win here. Enterprising ride by Jerry Chow against the rails beat him, but I think he's better on top of the ground. Next up, Paul, is a Pulsar Strider, Class 4 winner last time. This is the victory. He has placed in Class 3, but he has had a few opportunities in this grade. Yeah, again, there was rain around this day as well, so I don't know how much that helped him. Look, I'm happy to watch him here. I think he'll go to the front, but he should get a bit of pressure from those horses drawn wide. Yeah, there's a bit of speed, actually, when you sort of really, boil it all down. And I thought he did this with a little bit of authority on this occasion. Obviously, Class 4 certainly made things a little bit easier for him. He's beaten Dublin Star and co. So, look, I think the form does need to be elevated and needs to go to another level. And I'm not sure how much he's got in hand against some of these, to be fair. We move on now, Nick, to a brilliant way. This is Chung Fa. He's had 2 trials since we've last seen him. He wins this trial and he beats Exponential.
He does indeed. Obviously, John, does like to send his horses up to Chung fast. This horse had a nice break, 111 days off the scene. He's never been the greatest fresh, I hasten to add, and he has dropped 38 pounds as well. So he's clearly piled the work into him, this fellow. And Brenton Avdullah's going to take the rider. I've probably got him more as a watching brief here, Paul.
Yeah, I don't mind him actually. He's drawn nicely in barrier 6. I think he can get just in behind the pace as well. He's run second off a similar rating before as well. Brilliant way. And look, I think he's cherry ripe for a good run with that weight drop. Now, with the weight drop down 38 pounds, he's actually at his winning weight.
Okay, so there you go. 1 no, 1 yes for Brilliant Way. Track work party warrior, Paul. Now, we know him normally under the lights, but on a Wednesday night at Happy Valley. Yeah,
prefer him at Happy Valley than here. Drawn 9 as well. No Zach's aboard, so you probably have to take unders as well, but not for me.
Yeah, can't have him here. 0 from 5 at Sha Tin. He's never run in the first 4, so hard to get too enthused.
No party for Party Warrior. That was nice and easy. Okay, he's out. Who's in?
Can I go with Brilliant Way, make him the long shot. He's drawn barrier number 6. He'll get a nice run. And I think just in behind the pace, he's going to get his opportunity. So 13 and 5.1. He's one on a wet track as well, if there is any rain around tomorrow, but I don't think it will be. Lucky Encounter is obviously the one to beat. Invincible Sage was unlucky on debut, and excellent fighter, 2-7-3-6.
Yeah, I've got Invincible Sage here. I mean, he was just too unlucky to be true, really, last time out. I think going up in triple suit, and look, plenty of pace on. If they do hold him up, then, well, I think they will have to hold him up, then he can come with a late run. So Invincible Sage on top. Lucky Encounter goes in for second. He's done nothing wrong whatsoever, this fellow. Excellent fighter. He'll appreciate better ground, I fancy, as well. And Beauty Crescent up at the top. Look, I put him in because he's clearly got a touch of class, this guy, and he's certainly starting off in the right sort of race. 3-7-6-1 for me.
Before we head to the break, a reminder about Hong Kong Direct this week. Nick sat down with an in-depth interview with Lyle Hewitson, who's riding absolutely out of his skin at the moment. You can find Hong Kong Direct on the website, hkjc.com. Click on audio and video, and it will be there alongside Racing to Win. That's Hong Kong Direct. This is Racing to Win, and this is a break. Welcome back to Racing to Win. Our focus for the second part of the show is going to be race number 10, and it's over the 1800 metres, a Class 2 event. And we've got Tuchel at the top of the book, just £1 extra for the win last time over the 1600 metres. Columbus County comes out of group racing over a mile and a half. Butterfield's a 2-time course and distance winner. Rise Brethren has the pacifiers off and the cheek pieces going on. Turin Red Sun, a shadow roll off, blinkers again. A Champion Dragon raced wide on the all-weather. Nellie Fine's best form so far has been at Happy Valley. All for St Paul's, we've seen him to better effect over 1600 metres, but he has won over the 1800 on the all-weather. Looking Great has the cheek pieces off. Sweet Encounter goes up in trip, and the Best Peach comes up to Class 2 for the first time from 1600 metre racing down in grade. Speed map time, Nick, and with Tuchel likely to be the favourite, how does he get the race run to suit him?
Well, I think there are going to be horses that will lead him off. I mean, All for St Paul's, we know, loves to lead. Champion Dragon is another. He's drawn 5. All for St Paul's drawn 9. So he's a little bit wider out. Might have to come across a few here. Looking Great is another horse who can race on the speed, but he's drawn even worse off in 12. So, look, I think Tuchel from gate 4 gets a lovely run into the race. Bourbon Air is another who would like to sit handy, but he is drawn wide. So I think Paul Tuchel probably gets the run of the race in there.
He does. Look, it looks perfectly set up for him, to be honest. Rise Brethren can follow him into the race. But the horses that like to get back, like Sweet Encounter, the Best Peach and Nearly Fine, they should get their chance with all this pace in the race. So it's going to be a really good race to finish the card.
It certainly is, and we're going to keep our focus now on Tuchel. He's written by Zach Purton, and this is what he had to say to Nick.
Zach Tuchel, one of your rides on this weekend's card at Sha Tin. Good job last time he did, and he's going up in trip here.
Yeah, he's been incredibly consistent all season, and he continues to perform when we want him to. He's obviously got to carry the weight this time and up in distance a little bit, but you know, he put himself in the right spot and give himself a chance.
It revisits this trip after running in the Classic Cup. He was your chosen mount for that race. As time's gone on, do you think he's developed into a horse that will now stretch over this sort of trip and a bit more, perhaps?
Yeah, I didn't think he ran the distance of the 1800 out that well when I rode him, but I did chase the speed a little bit in that race, and maybe that was a telling factor. And obviously in the Derby, he was strong to the line, but they went that slow that it wasn't really a test of stamina. And he drew a soft gate and had a soft run, so he had something there to give. But he gets his chance again, so I'm not going to say he's not going to run it.
He seemed to sprint really well last time, Zach, to chase a bit of a runaway leader. I mean, as a rider, that must have been quite an impressive feeling from him to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, Lyle sort of got there quite easily and got his own way in front for a period of time, and then obviously he put the gas down a fair way from home, and it really made him chase a long way from home and dragged it out of him, and he did a good job. There was no fluke in what he did. He had to man up, and he did that, and he was strong to the line, so hopefully that helps us in this race.
He has had a nice tick-over trial as well, so that just put the finishing touches on him for this.
Yeah, it's indicative of what John does, right? He likes to trial his horses between runs where he can, and he felt like this horse needed it, and he trialled well.
We'll get the boys' thoughts on Tuchel shortly because we're going to see his track work. After Nick, we have a look at some trial form here, and it is Rise Brethren who we start with, a horse that you don't mind at all. Sweet Encounter, there he is in the mauve or lilac jacket, and Tuchel is wider on the track too, so he features in this trial as well.
Yeah, quite an informative trial this, but we'll start with Rise Brethren because, yeah, you're certainly right, Mark. I do like him in this, and I think you forget that run last time. That was on the all-weather. He's a big price. Look, he didn't disgrace himself, but he's a much better horse on turf. Some of that turf form's really good, and Jamie's only had him for a couple of starts so far. So, look, I think he can bounce back here to form. Sweet Encounter I'd like to see bounce back, and Tuchel, what did you make of that trial, Paul?
Yeah, look, it was nice and quiet. That's a typical John size trial. He just does it nice and easy. I thought Rise Brethren's run was pretty good on the all-weather.
Oh, it was, yeah.
He did really hit the line strongly there for fourth, and it was his first go on it. I've got all three of them in.
All right, here's Tuchel again, Paul. This is his track work with Sweet Encounter, so they clash again.
Yeah.
Tuchel the best of this pair, obviously.
Yeah, look, they didn't chase each other here. They did it nice and quietly. I wouldn't completely write off Sweet Encounter, though. He's a big price at the moment as well. I think, he's a class horse on his day.
Just a couple of starts in Class 2 for Sweet Encounter. Off to Happy Valley we go, and we have in this race Butterfield. He is the widest, also nearly fine. He's the grade 2, he's inside, and Turin Red Sun fades to run 10th, but he's actually holding his form quite well, Nick, in strong races, Butterfield.
He is, and look, he's a 7-year-old nowadays, but I mean, he's, like you say, he's put together a few decent runs. I mean, he ran in Group 3 company a couple of starts ago in that Queen Mother Memorial race he actually won previously, and that was in fact his last win. So it's been a long, long time since he's won a race, Paul, but he is racing well. Yeah,
he's been placed 5 from his 12 starts this season, and look, he's just had a long season. He's up to 2,400 metres all over the place, distance-wise, but 1,800 looks good for him at the moment.
He's won a couple of times over the 1,800 metres. Here is the run on the all-weather you boys were just talking about. Paul, there he is, Rise Brethren. He is in this field, the only one in this field that features in race number 10, and you can talk us through the finish that you were both pretty keen on the way he found the line.
I did, yeah. I made him a long shot. So I kept an eye on him the whole day this day, and I was hoping he'd run third because he was playing about 11 or 12 a place. About here he was going to run 6th or 7th, and then once he got to the outside, he finished off really strongly, I thought. So I thought it was a good enough run, and we know he's better on the turf, but just shows I wouldn't be surprised to have another crack at the all-weather with him.
Yeah, look, exactly. I mean, my argument is that he is a better horse on turf, but look, I certainly agree. He did finish off strong there, didn't he?
Yeah. And one more to look at, Nick. It is the Best Peach. There he is on the outside. Strong recently in Class 3. What do you think he's going to do up in grade this week?
I think he's going to do something quite encouraging, to be fair, Mark. He's well and truly in the market at this stage, currently second favourite. Look, he's going up in trip. First time he'll try this trip in Hong Kong, but he did win over this distance at Haydock Park in the UK, and that's a relatively stiff track. They've got to be able to stay there. So I've no qualms with the trip, Paul, and he's got a very light weight.
He has, hasn't he? And he's gone really well over the last few times with a light weight up and trip. I think he's a chance.
Last race is always a good race, Paul, and this week, no exception.
Exactly right. I think Tuchel can win, though. Look, from Barron before, he can just get that perfect run just in behind the pace. The Best Peach, the one we just talked about there, he's in there for second. Sweet Encounter at a bit of a price for third, and Rise Brethren for fourth. 1, 12, 11, 4.
Yeah, I've gone Rise Brethren on top here. Back on the turf, I think is really going to suit him, and I think he's more than capable of winning this. Tuchel, the toppy, in for second. Look, he's a bit of a class act, and he's into triple figures now, so he's got a bit to do as far as carrying the top weight. The Best Peach down at the bottom of the lightweight. And look, I've given Sweet Encounter another chance. Don't want to drop off him. He's a decent horse in his day. 4, 1, 12, 11.
And that is race number 10. So we've seen the last two races here on Racing to Win, Paul. It is a case where, as you've said, there's some massive jackpots, so help us out a bit.
Yeah, look, I thought Eremo can win the first. He's been going really well on the all-weather. Beauty Destiny, look, he swishes his tail back to 1,000, looks ideal for him. Dream Winner as well, look, he was so impressive on debut. He'll be the shortest price of the afternoon. Apex Top's got speed to get across from his wide draw. Mission Bravo can go to the front on the all-weather. Round the Globe's been consistent without winning. Unpresuming looks good with Zach Purton aboard. He trialled really well recently. Red Hair King up in grade with a lightweight. And we've talked about the last two, so that's how I see it.
You can find all of those races on the website, hkjc.com. Click on audio and video. We've seen the last two races. We've seen all of his selections. We better keep going with your best bet.
Yeah, look, I like Red Hair King, race number 8. He's got no weight on his back. He's only had the 4 starts. He looked strong in winning that race on International Day. And then long shot, brilliant wave. And I think he can run a bit of a race on barrier 6, get him behind, and he'd be a decent price. We'll do the play in the first, get out and over and done with early with Eremo. Tianchi Monster back on the surface, and Adafil, QQP 126.
Yeah, best bet for me coming up on Saturday. I'm going race 7, number 12, Casa Legend. Now, he hasn't won in 15, but some of that recent racing has been good. Very lightweight to carry. I think he's good enough to win it. Race 7, a competitive-looking heat indeed. And race 8, number 4, Beauty Missile, the long shot. He's stepping up in trip. I think he's very interesting, lightly raced. I think he might be half a price as well, hopefully. And race 5, the play numbers 1, 2, 3, as easy as that.
Race number 6 for the best. It is Around the Globe. Alexi Bedell on board for Rick Hughes. Only had the 3 starts, placed at his first 2, then 7th behind Red Hair King. That was on a 1,400 metre first start for him. It's a little bit green in the straight, so should have learned a bit from that. Race 10, number 3, Butterfield. Tuchel's going to be hard to beat, but Butterfield's racing consistently and is normally a price. And the play race 10, 1 Tuchel, 3 Butterfield for some value, and 4 Rise Brethren, 1, 3 and 4. That has been a look at Sha Tin for the meeting coming up on Saturday. No racing Sunday this week, but we are back at Happy Valley on Wednesday night, Nick.
Yeah, we are indeed. Yeah, normal service resumed there, and obviously, you know, all the fun of the fair at the Valley during the week.
Yeah, definitely. There's a really good class too. How Deep Is Your Love, Rorting Together, Eason, Winning Icy, Nordic Dragon, last start winner Palcap. That's going to be a cracker.
It will indeed. How Deep Is Your Love has trialled well since his last start as well. But before we get there, we need to get to Sha Tin on Saturday. We will see you there. That has been Racing to Win, race 1 Saturday at 4 o'clock.